Hi, welcome to the mass media, um, pop culture, music culture, underground culture part of the broadcast. And this is a focus on an area of our, music culture that is pretty dark. I mean, I don't mean to laugh. I mean, it's pretty horrific, and it's sad how influential this part of our culture is on people growing up. And just say you get off on the wrong foot in life, and maybe you suffered from, I don't know, child abuse, sexual abuse, or whatever growing up. You were in a foster home, you get beaten up on a regular basis, you ended up in training school, who knows. I mean, you got off in the wrong foot, and it's sad. It's very sad. But sadly enough, what happens a lot of times is people turn to, drugs and all kinds of stuff from an early age on, and then maybe they get into like things like dark metal, satanic metal, things like that, because they hate the Almighty, because they feel, they were put in this situation by Him. They were left vulnerable in this world to wickedness, and they want to blame the Most High for that reality in their lives. Or maybe they're just into darkness. They love wickedness and evil, and they love horror films and whatever it is. And this music really is an encapsulation of that reality of horror films and wickedness that we see in mass media, and music industry, and you know any form of ritualistic behavior, or witchcraft, or full on Satanism is just perfectly manifest and truly inspired by the work of these of satanic heavy metal bands. They inspire people to be Satanists. They you know basically present a picture of darkness and wickedness, and then fueled with maybe somewhat poetic lyrics or whatever, that, and amazing guitar playing and instrumentation, that people get caught up, and then they basically subject themselves to these bands that are influencing them in so many ways, subconsciously, consciously, and affecting the way they think about the world, and the way they dress, and the way they um, think about the Most High and the creator of the universe, unfortunately. And it's sad, but people are very vulnerable early on. I was very susceptible, I was very impressionable, um, when I was growing up, and I think at some points I still am very impressionable. I feel, I don't feel vulnerable at this point in my life, but I do feel, that, I am, certain things are impressed upon my psyche, but especially when you're younger, when maybe you don't know any better. Maybe your parents are into heavy metal, and then they get you into heavy metal because you love your parents and that kind of thing. So, it's tough to put up your guard when you're not being taught to do so. But I just want to go into a little kind of analysis of this one particular band that, I don't know how to distinguish. I mean, I saw this, I think it was Evolution of Heavy Metal Music documentary. It was on VH1, or I think it was VH1 or MTV at one point. And, I am pretty familiar with a lot of the different subgenres of the, the heavy metal, genre of rock and roll music. So, I just, with bands like this, I always look at them as like kind of from that black metal current that came out of like Norway back in, I don't know, the early 90s, or I don't know, maybe it was the late 80s, where they started burning down churches and things like that, and everything was about Satanism, or evoking demons and things like that. So I look at this band, it's kind of like one of those bands, but I guess they're tied into some other um, part of that whole um, reality. So I don't know. It's just a different. Anyway, they're called Behemoth. I'm just gonna show you this one first. So sorry, I wanted to kind of show this in a certain order. So behemoth, as far as the biblical behemoth, is basically there we go. Sorry about that. So behemoth is a beast from the biblical book of Job, right? And is a form of the primeval chaos monster created by I call him Yahweh at the beginning of creation. He is paired with the other chaos monster, Leviathan, and according to later Jewish tradition, both would become food for the righteous at the end time. Metaphorically, the name has come to be used for any extremely large or powerful entity. Okay. So in this image right here, we have basically this is behemoth, right? So it looks like kind of basically a bull with horns. This is Leviathan, the sea monster, and this is I think this is supposed to be not sure what that one's supposed to be, but anyway, so we look at he's a beast, right? Behemoth is a beast, correlated with Leviathan, the serpent beast as well, serpent monster, and just the symbol of wickedness essentially. So tied in with the beast of Revelation. So now I want to switch over to the band Behemoth. They just I happen to see something about them. Behemoth is a Polish extreme metal band from Gdansk, formed in 1991. They're considered to have played an important role in establishing the Polish extreme metal underground. Until the late 1990s, the band played a traditional black metal style with heathen lyrical content, but soon changed to that of a cult and thelemic themes written by their lead vocalist Nergal and Christoph Razorowitz. With the 1999 release of Satanica, the band demonstrated their presence in the death metal scene while retaining their own signature style, characterized by the drum work of Inferno and multi-layered vocals. Despite Behemoth having been labeled as death metal or thrash metal influenced, Nergal has mentioned that he does not like the band to be labeled. Okay. So essentially, when they say, cult and thelemic themes, thelema, Western esoteric and occult social or spiritual philosophy and new religious movement founded in the early 1900s by Aleister Crowley, right? Crowley, however you want to pronounce his last name. English writer, mystic, occultist, and ceremonial magician, right? Considered the most influential occultist of all time, and truly heavy into black magic. And he performed ceremonies where he opened the gates of hell and things of that nature. So, not a benevolent figure. So, and a lot of heavy metal musicians are inspired by him. He's basically their hero, Crowley. He's influenced you name it. So I want to go back and so now I just want to show this band in performance. I mean, I was just shocked. I mean, this was the first I've seen this band. I mean, I'm familiar with them. But last night I just happened to stumble upon Messe Noir. Right, this is Bloodstock, not Woodstock. It's Bloodstock 2016. Right. Okay. So this is all a reality of the end times. We're seeing the manifestation of all these things like this, all these wicked movies that come out like with Satanists and all kinds of horrific elements, horror films and ritualistic elements and things like Harry Potter and sorcery and I mean it's all part of this whole end times buildup and culmination, which will ultimately lead to the rise of the anti-Messiah, right? So this is the underground element that's extremely influential. I mean, really, it's above ground at this point with these different heavy metal movements to, basically get darker and more wicked as they go. I mean, Messe Noir in the French. I mean, that means black mass, right? So basically, this band, I mean, this is pretty intense. So I'm still shocked by the degree to which these bands, I mean, they've gone to, like as far as the theatricality, sorry, of their performance, and I mean, they obviously have satanic symbols on the stage along with the performance. I mean, the guttural vocal nature of their performances. I mean, it's really shocking. I mean, very ritualistic, but it draws you in if you have, unbelievable guitarists in the background playing these amazing riffs, and just the sound, and just the performance of it. People are drawn to the darkness. They're drawn to into the wickedness of this reality of heavy metal and where it stands right now. Heavy metal, I mean, really maybe was given birth to through, bands like Black Sabbath. I mean, you can go further and further back from Black Sabbath, but basically, that's one of the ultimate founding fathers of heavy metal is Black Sabbath, and obviously you had Ozzy Osbourne was the lead singer, who talked about becoming possessed on stage on a regular basis, and they had some mysterious fifth member of the band, inferring that Satan was, or some kind of demon was accompanying them on stage with them. But anyway, so this band, this is shocking. I had to admit. I mean, it was there's darkness, but I mean, I laugh at it because it seems almost ridiculous. But so many people are caught up in this. I mean, to me, there's this whole evolution of heavy metal over time where it just built up. It's gotten darker and darker, and there's all these subgenres to it, and it just gets more and more wicked as it goes. So this is just where things are at. I mean, this is 2016, but this band is definitely still kicking. But this song, Black Mass. So right here, I mean, you have this triangle. Usually, triangles used in evocations of demons. So that's probably why you're seeing that. And then obviously, I have this obvious satanic skull figure. The guy. You get the symbol of chaos magic, the Illuminati of Thanateros, I think is the correct pronunciation. The symbol of chaos magic, and he's coming out. This is their lead singer. Comes out with the incense. So, you got all these things going. You got some Masonic symbols in the background, the double-headed eagle symbol. You get this, like, dark, guttural, wicked sounding voice of this guy, you know what I mean? But it's like, it's got this almost like trance-inducing quality to this kind of repetitive melody going on in the background. It just draws you in, you know what I mean? I mean, these people are... I seen so many different clips of different interviews with people. I mean, Hell's Bells, the Dangers of Rock and Roll, that whole documentary series, or a number of others that people talk about becoming seriously possessed on stage when they get just deep into like this trance music of like they're invoking demons as we're listening to them. You know. I mean, it's almost ridiculous, but like over here, I'll show you, like in the back corner. They had this like double, yeah, right here. So it's double. It's a Masonic symbol, meant to, represent the East and the West on the one side, dualism, the Phoenix bird. Could also mean kind of symbolize the fusion of thesis and antithesis, duality, the fusion of dualistic forces. I mean, there's a lot of different interpretations with Masonic symbols, but I was just shocked. I mean, and then over here, I think we showed this other gentleman's, I don't know if you call him gentleman, but his guitar stand. I'm not sure. Maybe it's in the other video, but one of their guitar stands has this sigil of Lucifer, which is a pretty common symbol if you know anything about Satanism and Luciferianism. But so again, this is a symbol of chaos magic right there. The black sun, I think they call it. So, this is just a continuation of this whole reality, this whole underculture of heavy metal as it stands right now. How wicked it is, really. I mean, it's just. Music is very powerful, first and foremost. So you're hitting people in so many different ways with this music, especially if they love this kind of dark, moody, wicked sounding music anyway. I mean, you're basically influencing them, in just so many ways, on so many levels, emotionally, spiritually. um just it's sad, to the extent that people are influenced by this stuff. So I just want to show you one more. I think it's this one. Yeah. So this one now, the Bartzabel, I think this maybe some kind of name of some kind of demon, that they're trying to invoke or evoke or whatever in the performance. But Beelzebub, all these different demons from Scripture, they have this similar type name, but I'm not sure Bartzabel what this constitutes. But you get right here. I mean, you have these flames inside. Looks like almost like a um, peace symbol. But the peace symbol is also like an occultic symbol as well. But this triangle, you're invoking demons. When you have a triangle within a circle, most times that's what it's used for symbolically. But you have these, caduceus kind of cobra heads, the fan heads. I mean, see them in Egyptian mysticism. They're also tied in with Hindu mysticism with Shiva. Yeah, there's these cobras, and it's meant to represent, the taming of the Kundalini serpent force that, is awakened at the base of your spine and then climbs up the different chakras, and you achieve some kind of enlightenment when you have mastery over the Kundalini energy, the Kundalini force, the serpent force, obviously having direct links to Satanism, Hasatan. So this is another song by this band, and I just want to point out, and it's just really showing like how, geez, how incredibly wicked like this stuff is. But so this is just a few years ago, some concert, but so he comes out. This guy comes out like I mean, he looks like some kind of high priest or pope, really. The dark pope, the lead singer here. So this is very much like literally like an actual occult ritual on stage. And if you look at his hat, you'll see. I mean, you have all these in the background. You have all these symbols. Right here, you have all these kind of overlapped inverted crosses. Obviously, a satanic symbol. You have right here. I'll show you in a second. This is somebody. He's got an inverted cross on his. Okay, so this is a sigil of Lucifer on this guy's mic stand. I guess that's what it is. So obviously it's some kind of pope, dark pope, and they got like an upside down cross on his hat there. I don't know. But as you can see, I mean, people just love this theatricality. It's like watching like a horror film right in front of their eyes, but with music, a soundtrack, and so there's that component. It goes all the way back to like bands like Kiss that dressed up in these costumes, and people want to be entertained. So it's in so many ways you have this reality with these bands that's like it's like a horror film come to life. But then there's this satanic element. So if you're into Satanism and Dungeons and Dragons and things like that, that you get caught up in these kinds of realities, and it's sad. It really is. I mean, it's because especially growing up. I mean, you're very young and you get caught up in these bands, and it becomes like a lifetime thing of being obsessed with this type of music. So you know, I really feel that these concert venues in so many ways are like giant portals where these demons, and essentially possess the the performers in these contexts, but then they also possess the people in the audience. As a result, they become maybe attached. That the bands are basically kind of like vehicles as vessels for the wicked demon forces to work through to transmit this demonic occultic energy into the audience, into the the concert atmosphere. So, but what's happening? I mean, you're conjuring up these forces, these entities. And it's all in line with chaos magic. Chaos magic is all about just creating this realm of just total chaos, really, on one side, where you're just invoking any and all demons performing rituals, causing just havoc, chaos. Like it just, you know, plunging the world into oblivion in a way by all these different actions that people are taking just to, cause these forces to unfold in this world. And I think ultimately, in a lot of ways, some type of nuclear World War III happening in the world will be kind of somehow the culmination of these forces of chaos magic that were unleashed in the world coming to a head. It's really that significant. I mean, to that degree. So anyway, I just wanted to share that because I was just shocked. I mean, every time I look at this stuff, I mean, I've seen it for a long. I've seen this type of stuff for a long time, and I'm familiar with it. I mean, there's just so many different bands like this, and some are 10 times worse. I mean, the kind of things that they're doing on stage. I mean, you have Slayer, who's been around for decades. That I mean, they were one of the seminal bands, with like thrash metal and things like that. But there's just so many like
Teeth sensitivity is
subgenres
so
at this
common.
point
Immediately it feels like
that,
somebody's poking directly on the nerve. I
but
recommend
they all
Sensodyne.
tie in
Sensodyne
with this
toothpaste goes
dark
inside the
side to
tooth and
music.
calms the nerve
They're
down. And my patients say,
they're
doc, it really
creating,
works.
as like Leo Zagami would say, like this
This
egregore,
is Wix.
Of this type of wicked demonic influence through the music. So that's the thing. So anyway, this is just showing another version. Right, that's enough with that. But I mean, just the size of the audience of these concerts. I mean, it's just shocking. It's just really like amazing, like how many people are influenced by that type of music. I mean, I never. I mean, I listen to all kinds of music. Honestly, I never get heavy into like heavy metal or anything like that. But as you can see, like in the Hell's Bells, Dangers of Rock and Roll, that whole docu series. I mean, there's any and all kinds of music can open you up. You can think it's completely antiseptic, the music itself, but maybe there's some kind of influence that's coming through the music. Maybe there's nothing to it, just some simple pop song or what have you. But realistically, there's a lot to the music or any and all forms of music. I mean, it could be different elements of techno that open you right up and leave you exposed, vulnerable to entities, outside forces that want to creep into your life. And it's sad. I mean, it's sad how vulnerable people are, and they don't realize, and they really like some band, they really like some different certain kind of music, and don't realize that over time that it's a really wicked force in their life, that particular band. So it's sad. It's really sad. And I mean, I love music, but realistically, there's so much bad stuff out there. It's hard to even listen to music anymore without questioning it in the back of my head. Even it could be the most simple, basic tune that I'm listening to in the car, and I realized, geez, this, maybe has kind of ulterior motives in the lyrics that are affecting me subconsciously. That geez, and it's sad. I feel like I was very inspired at times from a lot of different musicians and artists throughout the years, and now that I look at it objectively, I realize, maybe it wasn't the best influence overall. I mean, there's a lot of great worship music and plenty of it online, and hopefully people listen to that type of music on a regular basis, or just simply audio scriptures. I've been listening to audio scriptures on the way to work, um, from the Eliad.com ministry website. There's pretty much all the scriptures in the audio format, except for Psalms, Proverbs, and there's one other thing, maybe the Book of Job. For the most part, most of the actual in the all of Scripture is in audio format with the sacred names, um, replacing any names like Lord and God, that kind of thing. So you see the name of the Father in Scripture, which it should have never been taken out of Scripture, so it's been restored. So, what people call like sacred names, restore names, scriptures. So I like listening to that kind of thing, and some classical music is good, and I do listen to some other kinds of music sometimes, but I always feel like I'm kind of vulnerable to these ideologies and the lyrics, and kind of liberal realities in our society with different kinds of music at times. So it's tough, but this having almost out of control. It is so out of control, but it just makes sense for now, like in the living in the latter days, like this in the end times that you see this kind of stuff. I mean, this is like I'm shocking. I wouldn't be surprised if that guy ended up being the anti-Messiah, the lead singer of that band, or the Slayer band. That guy, I mean, he could be the anti-Messiah, and in so many ways, they are essentially invoking the forces of wickedness, the forces of evil, through the music. They are becoming possessed, whether they're becoming possessed by the anti-Messiah or some high-ranking demon, or some demon that's specific to their music that they were introduced to through some occult ritual or whatever. I don't know. I don't know. But I mean, it's definitely comes through the music. And, these people are definitely getting possessed on stage, and they admit to it. I've seen plenty of interviews. It's not me making it up and projecting it, imposing it upon these bands. They are talking about becoming possessed on stage. They live for it, and then they become possessed, and then that influence, that energy is transmitted into the audience, and they inadvertently or directly become possessed by the music, and you can, even with the previous band, Behemoth, I mean, you could tell that it's very trance-inducing, the very moody music that, is somewhat repetitive in the background that kind of draws you in, kind of almost hypnotizes you, or essentially hypnotizes you. And that is definitely part of the seduction of the music. I mean, it draws you in. You're kind of overwhelmed, and it's very complex. I mean, musically speaking, I mean, it ties in with like classical music, classical guitar, and this very complex music that's put into the fold, and people are instantly sold on it. I mean, I used to work with some guys at a tech company that were just head over heels for all these heavy metal guitarists because they play guitar, and they were just blown away all the time talking about these guitarists that they worshiped, that you know were just phenomenally talented, and they are very talented, but unfortunately their music is, very satanic in nature. Even the ones that aren't overtly satanic, with inverted pentagrams and inverted crosses on stage and dressing like, some dark pope figure, are definitely satanic in orientation. And it is what it is. I mean, it is what it is. I studied mysticism, comparative religions, philosophies, mystical traditions, mythology. I mean, you name it. And I practiced different forms of like Celtic mysticism specifically, and I'm very much aware of these other esoteric occult traditions. I never consider myself, I never thought of myself as having any um, experience or direct, you know, uh, desire or anything with anything like black magic in orientation. I mean, I always thought white magic, was benevolent in orientation until I realized it wasn't, in my early 20s, and I'm glad I walked away from it, because it's something. It's like a rabbit hole. It's like a death spiral that happens. You just get deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into it, and that's all you can see, and you become, essentially possessed, and then you become enthralled, and as you go by this, you feel like you're tapping into like the knowledge of the universe. I mean, if you study Tibetan Buddhism, it's very extremely complex and intellectualized philosophy, very, very involved. It's not some basic phrases or basic proverbs or anything. It's very complex philosophy. So, you need to truly be an intellectual to understand it and to grasp the abstract concepts that are being introduced as you get more and more involved in the study of Tibetan Buddhism or any other tradition like Kabbalism, and you become enthralled. Like you're tapping into the mysteries of the universe, the wisdom of the universe. Of course, the wisdom of the universe must be absolutely complex. I mean, we're talking about the, the nature of our reality. It must be complex and multidimensional, and deal in all these esoteric and highly intellectualized realities. But maybe it's not that complex. In scripture, you don't have to be an intellectual to understand the Bible. And that's the beauty of the Bible. It's for everybody. It's not just for people that were, intellectuals or scholars, anything. There's no prerequisites for becoming a believer, except, you should follow in this path. It's very difficult path. It's hard to stay on the straight and narrow. It's hard to be a good person sometimes. It's easier to not be a good person or to make mistakes and, do bad things and get angry, and get very emotional and get out of control. And I've experienced all of it. Absolutely. And have bad habits and do bad things and live a life of wickedness. So, that's easier. It's difficult to live in the straight and narrow, to go on the straight and narrow path. It's absolutely way more difficult. So anyway, I just wanted to share that, and I'm just shocked, and I thought it was a good, you know thing to focus on today. Something that I've been looking at recently, and really, I mean, it's been something I've been meaning to kind of hone in on. This realm of heavy metal that's just like out of control. And it's just, I mean, I'm just amazed at how many people like are heavy, heavy, heavy into heavy metal. There's so many people that it's, I mean, it's influencing too many people.